Good morning. On behalf of the Board of Directors, I want to just thank you for being here. Thank you for investing your morning to experience what we think is some pretty exciting news and the introduction of our future head of school. And I just want to thank you for entrusting your kids to San Antonio Christian School. Thank you for your commitment to Christian education. And just so good to see you all this morning. So my name is Colin Blair, and I'm the chairman of the board. And we endeavored to seek for a new head of school in the April timeframe. And when we did, as a school board, we put together essentially a wish list of all the things that we were looking for. We partnered with a company called Vanderbloemen, who is an executive search firm that works with churches and Christian schools to help us do a nationwide search. So we went nationwide. And that probably launched in the May timeframe. And we ended up getting 65 finalists or candidates that were interested from all over the country. At first, we kind of thought, well, it's going to be mostly Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, and we literally had applications from the West Coast to the East Coast. It was really encouraging and a very diversified set of qualifications and people and ministries. And we got down to 5 candidates, very good and qualified candidates. Some were assistant heads of school looking to make their next jump. Others were, several, by the way, were looking to relocate to Texas. There were a lot of people that were looking to get out of where they were, and they were clear about that and what was happening just in the geopolitical environment. But then we got down to two final candidates, and we had a really good feel about both of those candidates, extremely qualified. And we ended up coming down to our finalist, who is now accepted the position for head of school at San Antonio Christian School, and his name is Dr. Rob Brown. When we were looking for who we were praying for at that time, and now knowing that that's Rob, we had several things. So the first thing we were looking for is someone to be the chief theology leader at the school. And so we were looking for somebody who had a doctorate, who had gone to seminary, who values Christian education, but theologically is sound. And one of the great things that we found in Dr. Brown is that he's all of those things and published. So he's a great communicator, a great writer, and isn't afraid to wade into some of the waters that that are dangerous and contested in terms of taking a stand for Jesus and taking a stand for personal liberties and things like that. And we were very emboldened by that. The next thing we were looking for is somebody who would be very experienced at running and leading a school. So as a board of directors, the most important thing that we do and can do would be hiring the CEO. So we're a policy governing board, and that says that we're focused on strategy, liabilities, policies, and things like that. But we want to be able to have a chief executive officer in our head of school that literally leads this school. And we were looking for someone who had done so from a school that had similar values that we have, a biblical worldview, a size of the school, and so all of those things Dr. Brown checked off as well. So he's coming from a school of 1,250 students. One of the other things we were looking for is how do we attract more families and attract them at a younger age? And so going into early education, meaning not pre-K but 6 months, and competing with right now churches and daycares and things like that to kind of get them into a Christian education frame of mind sooner rather than later. And Dr. Brown has championed an early education program where they have over 250 early education students that complement and actually feed their school. One of the other things that we were looking for is it's always a family package. It's a family deal, and we had the privilege of being able to meet Dr. Brown's wife Jackie and break bread with her, and Dr. Brown will tell some of his stories that drew him to San Antonio. but he's got just an adorable, sweet, God-fearing wife that's a 20-year BSFer and um, is just an amazing person. And Rob knows this, but he married up. She's just a wonderful, wonderful person. We're looking forward to bringing her to into this family. There's so many things that we were looking for, but one of the things was just excellence across the board. And we're a part of ACSI, and that's an association for Christian Schools International, and there's only 15 exemplary ACSI schools in all of the U.S. And Dr. Brown leads one of those schools and has been doing so for the last 15 years. And so when you kind of look at what it takes to be an exemplary school, it's exemplary leadership, it's exemplary admissions and enrollment and recruitment and Bible classes and teacher retention, which, by the way, um, Rob's a big proponent of that at his school. The average teacher has been at their school for over 14 years. Um, and he'll talk a little bit about why and how that happens. But it's excellence across the board, which is something that's come in loud and clear to us from a lot of our families and our administration. But not only that, Dr. Brown's also affiliated with an organization called CESA, and this goes beyond Christian schools into private schools all over the United States to drive excellence and benchmarking. And so we like to joke, but Dr. Brown is a walking encyclopedia of what it means to have benchmarks and what is the best. So it's not just setting goals and going after those goals, it's understanding how you do that. And he's really educated us on the way that you do that is you partner in community with other schools who've already done it. And his network at that level is very extensive. So I could go on and on, but this is really about you getting to know our future head of school, who will hopefully take a break in the summer as they transition and move. But he'll be starting officially on July 1st, but is already really, really engaged with our administration. And we've got plans for Dr. Brown to be here once every month leading into the summer. And he's on easily 10 to 15 hours of SACS duty, just because he's that kind of person already. And we're thankful for that. So, Dr. Brown, I'm going to bring you up to the podium, and just if you would join me in just welcoming Dr. Rob Brown.
Colin, you're always so gracious, and I really appreciate that. It's hard to really kind of absorb that, and you want to say your flesh, no, don't. That's not true. If one or two of those things are even remotely close, then thank you, Lord, for that. But I'm really excited to be here. I've been in here on a couple of occasions with the staff. Most of the staff were able to join yesterday afternoon, and then a very small, intimate group yesterday. We knew yesterday would be small, 5 o'clock, games going on, 7 o'clock. I mean, those are tough on school nights. So thank you for coming out. I loved, not donuts, but that devotions with Dad. I mean, that brought a couple of tears in my eye of, we talk about ACSI and exemplary schools and CESA. Well, we haven't done that, but they're going to, So I'm going to bring that back. I already took some pictures and sent it to my elementary principal. But what a special thing that's been fostered year after year to have that kind of relationship with the kids and to be able to do that and put your arm around your child and pray with them and encourage them and put the things in the treasure box. And I came a little bit late, so I didn't catch the beginning of it. Every child, what I was thinking of when I was just kind of observing this morning, every child wants to be the apple of your eye. And it's easy to do that when they're cute and they're little and they're having a great time, and even in elementary, and they're all excited about their dogs and their friends and all those types of things. A few of the dads walked in right afterwards, and those were the middle school kids in here. I didn't see any dads hugging on them and praying on them, and Dad, I love you. Come on. I want to introduce you to my friends and hang out. None of that stuff. And then in high school, you just want to kill them, So, and Principal Buck is over here. He's nodding his head. So there are seasons, but when you can develop that relationship with their young and stay at it and just keep pursuing and keep pursuing and keep pursuing that relationship. Even when they reject it or they slam the door or they're upset or there's a relationship or there's, and they're just handling life, and they're handling culture and the pressure of peers, even good, strong Christian peers like here. They're gonna have valleys. They're gonna have issues and challenges in their life, and we all know it as adults. I think I was talking with Captain over here about, you were mentioning that. Man, I've done this, man. I've been 14 and 40. Just listen to me. And that's where the partnership comes in. That's why I love the mission to partner with our families for a life of faith and service. So I love that. A little bit about me, and I think I'm just going to do this for maybe 15 minutes, and I love just to kind of interact and answer, any questions and things that I want to be sensitive to the time. But again, just very excited to be here, getting to know Colin a lot over the past several months, and the school board. It's been a great process. It's been a very difficult process of just, the Lord having to quiet me and rest and wait patiently for Him, because there really was no reason to leave my current school. But looking back now, I can see where God had been intervening in several different moments. And Rusty, when you prayed, I mean, that, we're right there. We talked a lot about theology. Theology drives everything that we do, right? The sacrifices you make to have your kids here, the decisions you make every day, your theology influences that. And so I'm certainly a strong proponent, as we all are, of God's sovereignty and how He, in every conversation, every situation, good and bad, He's always working. And so for us to come alongside and be obedient to what the Lord desires in each of those moments, at work, at home, wherever it might be, and really discern that. You can go crazy, and get a little too far off on, okay, God, what's your will today? Do I need to wear maroon, which I intentionally wore today? Or should I go back and wear the blue again, because that seemed to work? So you can get lost in all sorts of details of what God's will is for your life. But, when you're talking about major decision that's impacting a lot of people, and a lot of kids in your own family, some decisions are a little bit more weightier than others. And your kids face that every day in their world, and that's where we come alongside and get down to their level and go through that. But a little bit about me for just a couple of minutes, and my family. Don't want to spend a whole lot about me, but really what God is doing and what I'm excited about here at SACS. Hey, Christy and Heather, how are you? So you've heard this like 2 or 3 times, so just you can get on your phone and I won't be offended. A little bit about me. I've been married. Colin said I've been married for 31 years. My wife, Jackie, I wish she could be here. She will be here next week to spend time with my daughter, and I'll mention a little bit more about her in just a minute. Married for 31 years. Met in college in Chattanooga. Moved around a little bit when we were young. We had a great time. Lived in California for a couple of years, all in education. So we spent a couple of years in California. 3 years in New Mexico. That was the funnest job of the world. I was the guidance counselor, the athletic director, science and Bible class and coach, and it was a 24/7 job, and I absolutely loved it. But that, at a very young age, the Lord just kind of put me on that kind of path. And then 10 years in Utah. That's where the kids were born, and spent some time there. Really enjoyed it. A few years in Delaware, and then the past, as Colin said, the past 13 years in North Carolina. And God has been very good to our family. We're just very blessed, very humbled to be able to be called in the ministry, specifically in Christian education, and you just sleep, breathe, and eat that stuff. I mean, you just live it, and you're just very excited because we just know this is what we're wired to do, and that's the calling. But wife for 31 years, Colin said, big on BSF. She was very excited. She reminded me that San Antonio is the home base for BSF. In fact, I think it's just 10 minutes from SACS. And she'll spend a couple hours every day in her Bible study. And Colin's absolutely right. I definitely married up and she married down. There's no question. And the Lord has used her degree in psychology in many helpful ways, or I wouldn't be up here. 2 kids, Sophia, 24, recently married and moved to San Antonio, staying with her. She just bought a house in McAllister Park, and I'll talk a little bit about how God kind of moved there. And our son Seth is 18, so we're that's why Jackie's not with me here, because you don't want to leave an 18-year-old at home alone for 4 days while we're partying it up with Sax, you know. So she's home with him, and then we'll tag team, and she'll come out next week and spend time with Sophie and do a little bit of house hunting and things like that. So that's kind of our marriage and our family. Sophie's getting her master's degree now, works with kids on the full spectrum of autism, just works right down not too far from here. But here's how the Lord kind of brought, and I think it's important just to park for a couple of minutes on. I often get asked, well, why are you here? What's, you know, what drew you here? God obviously did that, and He did it in a variety of ways, because we really weren't looking. We fully intended to stay in North Carolina and keep doing the great things that God has been a part of at my current school at Wesleyan, including building a new campus and succession planning for a number of administrators who are planning to retire, and that's really what started it. The Vanderbloemen group was the group that Sax used for the search, and they have the best book out there on succession planning for ministry. So I was already reading that a year ago, getting ready for the retirement of a few of our principals. And one of the main reasons God has blessed our school so well is with strong senior leadership that have been doing it for many, many years. And so when you have principals who've been doing it for 20, 25 years, and they have that same passion and experience and wisdom, you're able to go a lot faster in things that you want to do, like pursue CISA and exemplary accreditation and things like that. So, you look for that. And so we're very blessed to be a part of it. But in the spring, when we, and I won't spend too much time on that, we hired our associate head of school, which was one of our principals, and that was by design. And we were, again, preparing for principals. So it was a late hire for us to start looking for somebody in June, for a principal. And I woke up on Saturday morning, and I went straight to the ACSI website to see if we had posted our position or not. And the very first thing that popped up there was San Antonio Christian School, head of school. And I said, no. And I went in and interrupted my wife's Bible study, and I said, honey, look at this. She said, no way. And this was in June, and this was just a few weeks before my daughter's wedding. And so we were just kind of curious about it, and that's kind of where it was. It was like, wow, isn't that interesting? We were thinking 10 years down the road, if the Lord would ever open up that door, if this was really going to be her home. Because she came and fell in love with her husband's family, Garrett, who actually attended school here for a little while in elementary school. So you can see where the Lord kind of connects, all these little things. But let me flash forward just a little bit quicker. And again, I think where God is in this is important for parents, and even board members. But they know this, obviously. We were hosting, 100 people, not in our home, but we were hosting 100 people for the wedding in July. And we were just kind of in the back of our mind thinking about this, talking to Matt, I think, sometime during that time. And maybe there was a text of, is this a potential fit, and what's the process? Let me kind of think about that. But I got a wedding in a barn, and I'm hosting 100 people, So I just, I really wanted to be interested in that. Well, one of the groomsmen, my son-in-law's sisters, was dating a student who had just graduated. What's his name again? Caroselli. Andy Caroselli. So some of you may know him. He'd been here for years. Andy was staying at our house and was one of the groomsmen in the wedding just a few days before the wedding, and came up the stairs. He was staying in our basement. And I said, hey, you want something to eat? And here's what he said, and I'm not lying. And I told the teachers and the staff this. It is quite funny the way he did it. He walked up the stairs, and he said, hey, I just found out from Garrett, my son-in-law. He said, I heard you're ahead of school. I don't know what a superintendent is, but my old school's looking for one, So I did. So I laughed like that, and I said, oh, what does a superintendent do, And I don't know, man, but I know they're looking. I just graduated, so you ought to look into it. I said, all right. And I think that's the personality of this boy too, who's at Texas Tech, I think, now. And so explains that, I guess, right? Okay. And then I told Jack. So Jackie and I knew, because we already knew right after the wedding we were going to kind of pursue this to see what if and is there potential that in the middle of the honeymoon Sophia got wind of it and called from Mexico, Dad, and so you couldn't help but get a little bit excited. But in the process, it had to be more about family, and that was Colin's instruction. Look, yeah, we've come to a point where we're pretty excited and feel this is what the Lord has and the right fit. But in the end, it's got to be more about family, because we have spent our whole life on the road, living in these different places and not having parents and grandparents and extended family in our life. That's just the way that the Lord has designed it. And so could this really be the time where we can do that or not? But it has to be a great fit, and there has to be a clear call. And that takes time, to weigh those things. And so there was the process of many Zoom calls. Thank God for Zoom. You get to know each other a lot. The visit was great over Labor Day. Rusty changed his plans and teachers, the 3-day weekends, Friday they don't want to hang around till 6 o'clock or on a Saturday morning. But met with a handful of parents and the board members. We had a long Friday and Saturday and lots of Zoom calls. And so throughout that process, conversation after conversation, the Lord just continued to help us fall in love with it. And it was, I was already in love with a family and school environment and staff and just going at a strong pace. But you could see more and more that this is what we have for you next. And so there were some pivotal markers, that occurred. And I think the respect I have for Colin, who just worked at it. I'm glad, I'm glad he didn't give up, because I was really kind of grappling with the Lord's call. And that's tough on both sides as you try, because you want it, but the Lord has to be in it. And that's when you got to really step back and really discern and pray and trust the Lord is doing the right thing. And part of that is the succession plan at my current school. And all those things just have aligned extremely well. And I'm very excited. They have a new head of school, and it's our associate head, and it just has worked out great. And they just announced that a few weeks ago. I don't know if I sent you that email or not. So all those things wouldn't be occurring unless the Lord said, you know what? I mean this for good. I mean all things for good for those who love me. And so you rest on those things. Even the tough moments and the challenging moments, he still means it. He still means it for good. And so a lot of those things occurred, and the follow-up with the administrators was really quite key. You have principals who know what they're doing, who love their kids, and they just love the partnership, And I think that's a key part is, all right, can you get in there with that group that you're going to do life with, and with the board. And so just a very, very strong alignment of what we're most passionate about. And when you have that, it's all well. That doesn't mean there haven't been challenges. I fully get where you were and what happened, and I read all 697 of your survey inputs and all those words. Didn't scare me off, because every school's gonna have challenges. We're fallen people. It always will be that way. As much as we love this place, it's not perfect. It never will be. But there are convictions, and there's a 50-year history of how the Lord has worked in amazing ways. And you can't always be on the mountaintop, your whole life. And so even in the valley. And so I think the board and I both felt comfortable that we're really not afraid of those challenges, and God really designed those challenges. And I think he's got some great, exciting things in the future. And that was a draw of the great growth that is occurring. Hopefully it's just not all the crazy people from California that are coming. We all, just the good ones, or Washington. You're looking around, but there's 3 or 4 people from Washington, California that I've met already. And so I think it's good growth, and it's great. And as far as the opportunity, not just to grow to be a school of 2,000, I think I mentioned that there are schools who had that vision, and that's fine. But you just want higher excellence and higher quality, so your kids can have a much stronger competitive nature and a great experience. They're already having a great experience, but the desire is to do all things with an incredible level of excellence, because that in all things Christ will have that preeminence and have his excellence. And so that's our desire to get it right. It won't be perfect, but we're going to get it right and provide the best environment for your kids. So that's the heart, and I think that's the heart of the school board, who is just, they're going forward with a strong vision and I think the Lord has placed it on their vision. Or I wouldn't have done this, I just wouldn't. So I think when there's a strong alignment from staff and the school board, they're all desiring to be obedient to the Lord's call. It's easy. It's easy, and so it wasn't hard at all. Just God continues to build the excitement and the humble gratitude it is to come along and say, great, if the staff feel this way and the board feels this way and the group of parents, that I met who represented, you, if they're all feeling this is a great fit, then, those were all critical things. There were 3 or 4 of those moments, and then kind of wrapped it up in late November, and then began the process of sharing that with my current school and going through that process. And wow, the Lord has just moved in amazing ways. And so that's kind of the story, and I think it's good to kind of give you the narrative of what the Lord did to be able to provide that. But again, excited about the vision for the future, and what might be developed here or there. And I love the mission. I love the mission of partnering with you and families that are coming from a strong Christian background and living out their faith, because our kids need that. We have to be in alignment. Our second word in our mission here is to partner with you. And 99% of the time, it feels like a really good partnership until it impacts you, until there's a situation. It's like, whoa, no, where's the partnership? Well, let's get to that, because we are who we are, and we gotta go forward and deal with some things. I think that came up in the meeting with one of our parents last night. Is, man, we really grappled with a couple things in high school and kids and things like that in the past, and but it is a process to go on the journey with kids. It just is. Even in an environment where parents are strong believers and kids may be professing Christians, and that's tough at that age to really demonstrate a full knowledge. They're not in their 50s or 40s or however old. They haven't lived through that life, and so you don't want to set them up for failure. And they're just given a superficial, I'm doing what you tell me to do, but deep down I'm really thinking this, or my heart's really not there. Do I really believe God created this universe and sustains it? Does He really mean this for God? How can God be a good God when I see what's going on out there? At some point, they're going to get older and they're going to grapple, and they're going to be dealing with the culture that we know exists out there. And there's a level of a bubble that I agree with, but boy, there are issues going on in our families and our lives and our kids, and we all know that, and the temptations, that are out there. And so what a great place to be able to deal and grapple with those things now before they get out there and get beat up of what's happening in our culture. And as Colin said, we're not afraid to tackle the big cultural issues, whether it's critical race theory or gender identity. God speaks very clearly to these things. And so there's really no argument or fight. How the school may carry through and have those discussions, I don't think you're going to bring in a speaker for Dads for Donuts, or devotions and talk about, some of those things, but you will. There's a point in the curriculum and the process of kids, like we got to grapple with this stuff, and where are you, on those things, and do you really believe what your parents believe and what the school does, and why or why not? So there are answers that are there, and we have to prepare our kids for a pretty tough world that's out there. So we're not afraid of that. It's not easy, but that's what we're called to do as parents, and to come alongside you in that partnership. So I enjoy those things, even the challenges. God uses even the challenging times, and He said we're going to have trials and persecutions and suffering. It's not going to be health and wellness and rich, and we're going to live forever and never be sick. That's a false gospel. There are going to be real challenges, and our faith has to be genuine and personal. So those are the things that keep us motivated, keep us up at night. We are in the business of life and death, and I don't walk around all day, sulking and thinking about that. And you may be thinking, this guy's got to go back to North Carolina, man. We're good. But there's an intensity of what we're doing because of what's at stake. And we have to look at every child and every family by design has set them here, for a purpose. And kids got to know their true identity in Christ and their worth. So those are things that just, I think, come naturally to any Christian educator, and the teachers that I've met. You got some sharp teachers. These people love your kids, and they're sharp. administrators. Again, just very blessed to have be around a team who make the sacrifices they do to teach here. You make the sacrifices you do to send them here. And so that's part of the retention and strategy. You know, you get what you pay for. You know, and I'm just so impressed with who we've met, and excited. I'm excited about what God's going to do and expand the kingdom through families who want what we have. And I think that's only going to help the school get stronger. And the financial component is a big piece. You know, we need to be where we are with enrollment to make things work. And but we got to do it with families and a school that partner together. So I've been rambling and going on here. I love to answer some questions. That's just a little bit about me and how the Lord has kind of equipped and given me some experience. And again, we're all fallen creatures, you know. But when we get down to the foundation of things of who we are and what we believe to be about God, we can really do some amazing things together. So anyway, thanks for letting me go on. But let me. I just